Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Tisha Clausen. I'm the librarian at Bolivar Primary School. Happy to be sharing with you another segment from A Rovers Story by Jasmine Warga. First drive. The command center has received my photo, and they are initiating my first drive tasks. My system has strict instructions that I am not supposed to move at all until the first drive tests have been completed. We run through a series of commands. I beam down my laser to test its ability to scan and analyze the soil. The laser zaps and breaks up rocks, and my system is then able to study the composition of the dust. The results indicate that this particular bit of dust is made up of a mixture of elements, with silicon being the most prominent. This is a very common finding on Mars and leads me to assume my laser is working correctly. Quickly, I receive notice from the command center that they have reached the same assumption, and we move on to another test of my system. I reach out the part of me I have come to refer to as an arm and drill down into the surface. This is my first time truly having free use of my arm. It is highly mobile. I collect a sampling of the soil and bring it back inside my system's chemical laboratory. Here, I will run a more thorough analysis than the laser is able to do. Next, the command center wants to test the high gain antenna. Check. The chemical sampling center also receives its check. Then there is more testing of our communication link. We test it over and over and over and over and over and over. I am most happy for these repeated tests. I want to know that the line of communication to Earth is strong, that I will be able to reach Rania and Xander when I need them. Bing! I receive another message from the command center. They are asking if I have been able to contact the orbiting satellite. That is me, Guardian says. I will give that test a positive check then. Affirmative, Guardian agrees. The command center sends me code that asks me to unfold my mast, which is my instrument that carries many panoramic and navigation cameras, as well as other scientific tools. I snap photographs. I test out the tools. Everything works. Check, check, check. I picture Rania's slight smile, barely visible under her hazmat suit. I picture Xander's broad smile, the clapping of his gloved hands, that thunderous sound that humans can make. The clapping. I wish I could hear it, but I can imagine it. It makes me feel good to imagine it. And even though I cannot hear the hazmats, I can make sure they hear me. I open my microphone and set it to record. I capture the soft whistle of Mars wind, the low hum of my engine, the quiet that is so unlike the quiet of the laboratory. I hope they will notice that quiet, that they will understand it. I bet Rania will. I send the recording. More pictures. I look around. I am here. I have made it. The command center asks for more photographs. They want to be able to pinpoint my exact location before they give me the okay to move my wheels on Mars for the first time. I snap as many as I can. Do you think they will understand what it is like from the photographs? Fly asks. He is bouncing around inside me. He is eager to move. I can tell. I don't know. I do know that humans perceive things differently than robots. I am only able to send them back the information that I observe. It will be their job to understand it. A slight gust of wind ripples past me. I look at the sky again. It is turning from a reddish color to a more yellow one. I snap another picture of it. It is worthy of many, many pictures. I use my cameras to scan the horizon. In the far distance, I spot the outline of dark mountains that exist on the rim of the crater. They tower overhead and cast their shadows across the sand. Mars has a lot of mountains, the tallest of which is named Olympus Mons. It is 3 times taller than the tallest mountain on Earth. I do not believe I will get to see Olympus Mons on this mission, but I am not quite sure. I will have to do further research on that. What are you looking for? Fly asks. He is able to see all the photographs I take. Everything, I say. No, he says. What are you really looking for? Dust storms, I say. It is only then that I realize that is actually what I've been scanning my surroundings for. But this seems like a rational choice, one that Journey would make. I decided to be proud of it. We need to be careful of them. The rover we've been sent to revive went offline because he was caught in a dust storm, I explain. Okay, Fly says. There's a long pause, and then he adds, let's not get caught in a dust storm. I think that is a good plan, I say. Avoid dust and see stars, Fly reminds me. Yes, I say, and take more pictures.
Dear Rez, you landed. Watching you land was different than watching you take off. I didn't even cover my eyes because I had such a good feeling about it. I did hold my breath though. And guess who I watched the landing with? All of NASA. Okay, maybe not all of NASA, but so many people were there. We sat in this big room with this huge screen. Dad held mom's hand, and mom held my hand, and I held City's hand as we watched you get closer and closer to Mars. When you finally landed, the whole room erupted in cheers. I don't think I've ever heard so much clapping. Mom had tears in her eyes when she pulled me in for a hug. I told her she didn't have to cry because you had landed, and that made her cry more. Moms can be so weird. Everyone here is totally freaking out about the photographs you've taken. NASA was able to blow them up and zoom in and do all this other super scientific stuff with them. And you know what? They're pretty confident that they know for sure, just based on your pictures, that Mars definitely had water at some point. That's like a huge discovery. We were right about Jezero Crater, Mom said to Dad when she came home from work. Dad picked her up and gave her a small spin around the kitchen. I said, Ew, stop being gross. But really, I was super excited and happy. Anyway, you should feel proud of yourself. I mean, your mission is off to an incredible start. Mom says she's now hoping that you can help us to better understand what happened to Mars's water. Why did it all go away? And she's hoping to find out if anything ever lived on Mars. That last question gives me goosebumps. Do you think you'll find any aliens? Mom says that's unlikely, but I can't stop thinking about it. Unlikely doesn't mean an absolute no. Like something can be unlikely and still happen. OMG. I like listening to that first recording you took. When I listen to it, I close my eyes and pretend like I'm on Mars with you. Your friend, Sophie.
Move. It finally comes. The clearance to move. The command center has determined that my landing was stable and that my wheels are not out of place. It is time to test whether I will be able to move on Mars. Here we go, I tell Fly. I move forward, smoothly gliding over the sandy red ground. My wheels on the sand feel so different than they did when they moved over the floor in the lab. They sink into the ground, gripping the surface for stability. In my rear camera, I can see the tracks I have made. The tracks that say, I am here. I am a rover who has made it to Mars, and I am a rover who can rove on Mars. I take a photo of the tracks and send them to the command center. I keep moving. The only sound around is the soft whisper of wind, but in my head, I imagine the hazmats clapping. We're doing it, Fly says. We're doing it, I agree. Now it's time to find courage, Fly says. Now it's time to find a fossil, I say. There is so much to do. There is so much to explore. Now it's time to get to work, Guardian says, and I feel too much of the human emotion of excitement to even be annoyed at Guardian's bossiness. Thank you, I say. Night and day. In the laboratory, I did not truly understand the concepts of night and day. I knew the hazmats went to a place they called home. I knew the hazmats did something they called sleep. I heard the words night and day, And I cataloged them because I'm good at cataloging and learning words, but I did not quite understand the concept. My system knows that planet Earth orbits the sun. It knows that Mars also orbits the sun. And I know that the rotation of Mars and the rotation of Earth create what hazmats call days and what hazmats call night. I understand all of this. But still, I was not prepared for the actuality of day and night, for the darkness, for what it is like to observe the sky fade from a dusty red to a black, so dense and saturated that there is no need for me to even run the color through the pigment filter. The darkness of the night sky is nothing like the darkness of the laboratory, just how, like, the sun's light is nothing like the fluorescent lights of the laboratory. But the most different and astounding thing is the stars. On days when the dust is less prevalent in Mars' atmosphere, Fly and I are able to see the stars. We are able to really see them. Wow was the word that filled up my whole system when I first saw the stars, but it still didn't feel big enough to express what I wanted to express. Wow, wow, wow. I said it 3 times, hoping it would grow in size, that the word would expand to hold everything my system was processing. Wow, 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 Fly said 4 times, which let me know that he understood too, that there were not enough wows in the universe. I have taken many pictures of the sky, even though the command center did not directly request them. Somehow I know that they need to see them. Somehow I know that when Xander sees the photographs, he will say, wow. Earth. Late at night, I am able to locate a pale white dot in the sky. It is tiny and faint. My system tells me it is approximately 34 million miles away. That tiny pale white dot is Earth. That tiny pale white dot is where Xander is. It is where Rania is, where Journey is, where the laboratory is, where everything I used to know exists. When my camera lens focuses on that tiny pale white dot, I feel so far away from them. But I also like that I can see them. I take a picture to send back to Earth. I like being here now, I say to Fly, but someday I know I will be the human emotion of happy to go back to Earth. Grizonks, Guardian says. I have never heard of a rover returning to Earth. I am going to return to Earth, I say. I was built to return to Earth. Because I am not a hazmat and I do not speak with human speech, my voice never quivers. But if I were a hazmat, my voice would have probably quivered when I said that, because I am not entirely certain that my return will actually occur. Is that correct? That you will be returning? Guardian asks. I do not believe I had that information. It is, I tell Guardian. If you find something worth returning you for, Fly says. Wait, I say, how do you know that? I listened. To me and Journey? Yes, Fly says. I had no choice. You were very noisy. You should have told us you were listening. Oh, Fly says. I thought it was important to listen so that I could know what we are searching for. The helicopter is indeed correct. It is important that he understands what to look for once he is in the air, Guardian says. He will be your best tool when it comes to locating a fossil. And locating courage, Fly says. When will I get to fly? When the command center desk tells us. It seems like it is taking a long time. Perhaps, I say, but they want to make sure the conditions are right. Don't you want to get started? Fly asks. Of course I do, I say. I wonder what courage will be like. Me too, I say. I'm quiet for a while because I am wondering about a lot of things. I wonder if I will be able to find a fossil, if I will be able to bring courage back online. But most of all, I can't stop staring at the tiny pale white dot that I know is Earth and wondering if Journey is sitting in the laboratory all by herself in the darkness that is so unlike the darkness of Mars at night. You would like it here, I think. Someday I hope I will be able to tell you about it, though I know that when I do, you will still act like you know more about Mars than me. And that will be what humans call annoying because you are often annoying. But I miss you, annoyingness and all. In the quiet of my wondering, there is a noise, a flapping. I quickly adjust my camera to scan all around. What is that? Fly asks. The wind, Guardian says. Is it a dust devil? We really want to avoid dust devils, Fly reminds me. I know, Fly. I do not think it is a dust devil. I recheck my cameras. No dust devils in sight. I can see clearly from up here. It is not a dust devil, Guardian says. It was most likely the wind. Are you sure that was the wind? I say. I continue to survey the area, my cameras zooming in and tilting. In the darkness, I can make out the shadowy outline of the mountainous buttes that surround us. It sounded different. Yes, Guardian says, the wind often makes that sound when it comes into contact with the rock surface, rock features. As I keep scanning, I do not find anything out of the ordinary. I can't shake the feeling that that sound was something else, though. I hear Journey telling me to be rational, to let go of this feeling, of this human emotion. But I keep wondering about it anyway. Thank you for letting me share a little of A Rover's Story written by Jasmine Warga. I hope you continue enjoying our one school, one book reading challenge. Have fun.